Hello and welcome to iGCSE Success. If you're new here, a big hello to you. I'm an English teacher and I post content here on YouTube to prepare students for their Cambridge First Language English exam. If that sounds interesting to you, be sure to check out the videos on my channel because I break down a number of the core skills needed to succeed with First Language English. So I know it's almost been 2 weeks since my last video. I've just had a lot going on with work and I also had a marathon which I was training for, so that took up a lot of my free time. However, now that my legs are somewhat functioning again and things are starting to settle down at work, I will be returning to my usual schedule, which is at least one video a week. In today's video, the focus will very much be on question 3, which is the extended writing response / the directed writing response, whatever you want to call it. And we will be taking a short extract from a previous paper, and I'm going to be showing you how you can transform a small extract into a variety of different text types. What I've personally found when teaching question 3 is that giving students a longer piece of fiction and telling them to read this and then write a newspaper report based on what they've just read, that can be quite intimidating. Ultimately, for question 3, you need to show an awareness of audience and purpose. Taking a smaller extract from a text C and applying the skill showing an awareness of audience and purpose is a really good way to practice question 3. We will be looking at a past paper called An Unwelcomed Visit. I have looked at this before on my channel. It's basically about a young girl called Sasha who goes backpacking and she ends up staying at this rather unpleasant hostel called Sammy's Place. And then her mother pays her a surprise visit, and let's just put it this way, she is not very happy that her beloved daughter has been staying at this rat-infested place. Now, the directed writing task for this question asks students to write a formal letter and to assume the role of Mrs. Wilkie, Sasha's mum, and I have looked at this question and I will link it in the description box below. However, as mentioned, I'm going to be taking a small section from the text used and I'm going to be showing you how you can turn that into a newspaper report, a formal report, and a journal. So without further ado, let's get on with today's video. Hi guys, so what you are looking at now is the original question 3. I think it was a 2016 or 2018 paper. I have done a video on this particular directed writing task, and again I will link that in the description box below. However, as mentioned, the purpose of this video is to show you how you can take a smaller section of text C and transform it into a variety of different text types. And this is a really useful method to practice non-fiction writing and being able to show a clear awareness of audience and purpose and just adjusting your style to fit different text types. So let's have a look at the paragraph which we will be using to inform 3 responses. We're going to be looking at how to turn this into a journal, a newspaper report, and lastly a formal report. Her dormitory was actually rather unpleasant. The bunks with thin, warm mattresses were crammed together. There was no shade on the light bulb which flickered spasmodically. Although everyone was meant to take turns doing basic cleaning and emptying bins, this rarely happened. The window frame seemed welded shut, its surface encrusted with years of dead flies. The surface of the sink in the corner looked like a relief map with river-like cracks meandering from tap to plug hole and mini mountain ranges moulded from toothpaste. So this is the small extract which we are going to be using. But of course, the first thing that you need to do is kind of give yourself a task. So for the journal, I've just created a task and it's going to be based on Sasha's experience of the hostel, and that is the girl who stays at the hostel. And of course, the purpose of a journal is to, I guess, reflect and to describe. For the formal report, I am going to be, I guess, assuming the role of an inspector and highlighting the rather bleak conditions of the hostel, and the purpose is to inform. So we are going to be writing in a very sort of factual way. And lastly, the newspaper report. I'm going to be reporting that Sammy's Place has finally been shut down due to health and safety concerns. And of course, the purpose of a newspaper report is to inform. So let's take a look at a journal entry. Now, when writing a journal, what is important to note is that you can be far more creative with your language, with your stylistic choices. Remember, it needs to have that kind of, I guess, chatty style. Of course, we still want to use standard English where appropriate. That's not to say that we can't break certain conventions. Let's take a read. Sammy's Place. Where do I begin? I've stayed at some questionable places before, but this really wins the award for being the most disgusting hostel ever. I thought this was going to be a trip of a lifetime. I thought this was going to give me some breathing space from Mum. I thought this was going to be a good idea. I'm slowly but surely regretting this trip. I haven't slept a wink. The mattresses look like they haven't been cleaned in a decade. The overall cleanliness is also dire. I'm not too sure when this place was last cleaned, but it could do with a thorough one, that's for sure. Yesterday I tried to open the window to let some fresh air in and it wouldn't budge. And don't get me started on the dead flies moulded to the window ledge. Let's put it this way. If there's a fire and I need to make a quick exit out of the window, I'm doomed. The light bulb seems to have a life of its own as well. It hasn't stopped flickering since I arrived. Oh, and the cherry on the cake, blobs of hardened toothpaste all over the bathroom basin. You couldn't make it up. Note to self, don't make impetuous travel plans again. I guess what you need to note here is that I've really tried to assume the role of Sasha. Imagine if you had the misfortune of staying at Sammy's Place. I'm sure you'd be pretty angry, pretty annoyed. So I've tried to show those emotions through the language and the stylistic choices that I've used. Okay, so now let's take a look at a formal report. Now, formal reports, they're one of those text types that students just, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, they just hope and pray that they just don't come up on exam day, but they do. I know it's not the most exciting text type to get, but it's really important that you know how to write a formal report and the purpose. A formal report very much is a factual piece of writing, so we want to try and be as objective as possible. You don't really want to be using that I voice, any kind of flowery language. You want to avoid any kind of sort of descriptive language. Let's take a look. Health and safety concerns. So you may well have some sort of subheadings as well. There were a number of concerns noted during a routine inspection at Sammy's Place on the 15th of November 2020. Firstly, the overall cleanliness of the hostel was a significant cause for concern. During the inspection, it was evident that the hostel hadn't been cleaned thoroughly for some time. There were a number of bins which hadn't been emptied, and the bathroom area, particularly the sink, was in an unsanitary state. The window ledge was also covered with dead flies. Secondly, there were a number of fire hazards noted. The light bulb in one of the rooms was constantly flickering on and off and could have exploded. Furthermore, it was noted that the window would not open and more than likely had been this way for a very long time. Lastly, it was noted that one room had far too many beds in it. The mattresses were also very old and had not been replaced in some time. So we are using ideas from the original extract, we are rewording them, we are developing them in an appropriate way. And what you need to notice, I'm sure you have noticed this, the style of this piece is very, very different to the first directed writing response, the journal. So now let's take a look at how to transform that extract into a newspaper report. So I have given my newspaper report a catchy title. You are welcome to do that. So, shocking Sammy's Place told to shut its doors for good. Yesterday, a hostel known as Sammy's Place was finally given orders to shut down after an inspection deemed the hostel unfit for guests. Sammy's Place, a hostel which is known to provide cheap accommodation for backpackers, was inspected by the local health and safety department. The local council received numerous complaints from parents informing them of the dire and unsafe conditions at Sammy's Place, which prompted the inspection. It was reported that the cleanliness standards were unacceptable and could cause serious health risks to guests. It is believed that there were a number of things noted, such as flickering light bulbs and windows that would not open. Sasha, who recently stayed at Sammy's Place, told us that the place was beyond repair. Mrs. Wilkie, Sasha's mother, said, "I cannot believe it has taken so long for this revolting place to be shut down. There were dead flies all over the windowsill and the mattresses hadn't been cleaned in a long time. I was truly shocked." With the newspaper report writing, of course, you need to know the features. The opening paragraph addresses those sort of basic questions, the who, what, where, when and why. You have sort of embedded clauses. You've got directed speech, reported speech. Again, it very much is a factual, formal piece of writing. No, I guess, flowery, descriptive language. And again, this kind of text type, formal reports, newspaper reports, yes, they are slightly more challenging and students invariably do find themselves struggling with these text types, but practice makes perfect. Find past papers, select a short extract and have a go at using that extract to transform it into a range of different text types. I hope this video has been useful. Do let me know in the comments. That's all for today, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again very soon. Until next time, bye bye.